Clevio Massimo is a super underrated Bronze Era strongman. Most people haven't even heard of him, but this guy's physique was kinda nuts for the time. However, there's something even more interesting about him. Clevio Massimo might have the coolest strongman lore I've ever seen, and his performances had a unique twist you're probably not expecting. So get comfy and let's get right into the story. Clevio's full name was Antonio Clevio Massimo Sabatino. He was born in Italy's Abruzzo region in 1895, and his family immigrated to America when he was a young boy, settling in Buffalo, New York. From early on, there's this kind of push and pull in his life. On one hand, the Sabatinos are known for being physically large and powerful. Some write-ups even mention his father and uncle being known as the Three Giants back in Italy. But on the other hand, his mother was adamant he practiced the violin, always trying to steer his life in a gentler direction. So we have this sort of weird combination of a kid being shaped by grace and music while also carrying a family history and expectation of strength. Now here's where things start to get really interesting. In 1921, Physical Culture magazine ran a series called The Adventures of a Modern Hercules, which is basically Clevio telling a set of stories that have been passed down in the Sabatino family through the generations. They're written with the help of John R. Coriel, a professional writer who ensures they are actually really fun to read, so I recommend checking out the full stories for yourself if you have the chance. But I'll do my best to give you a pretty detailed summary here so you get an idea of how these legends shaped Clevio's life. In the first story, a Sabatino ancestor named Clavius is an ancient Roman citizen, recently returned from war. He's living on the family farm and preparing to marry his fiancée, Flavia. His life is interrupted when his closest friend, Caius, comes to him in despair. Caius has fallen in love with a Greek princess, who was captured at sea and sold into slavery in Rome. Caius explains that he tried to buy her freedom, offering his entire patrimony, but failed. A wealthy old senator, Glaucus, outbid him and claimed the woman for himself, intending to keep her as a personal slave. Caius feared for her life and even considered murdering the senator. Clavius stops him and promises to find another way. Before leaving for Rome, he tells Flavia everything, including the risk to his own life, and she supports his decision without hesitation. In Rome, Clavius uses his connections to attend a lavish dinner where Glaucus is present. Over the course of the evening, Glaucus boasts about his two gladiators, undefeated giants no one in Rome will face anymore. Clavius's friends seize on this, half joking that Clavius could handle either man if he ever chose to enter the arena. Glaucus scoffs at the idea and brags that he'd gladly match his fighters against anyone. The back and forth continues until Glaucus implies openly that Clavius talks big only because he knows he'll never have to prove it. When Clavius shrugs off the challenge and dismisses the arena as beneath him, Glaucus presses harder, mocking him and questioning whether he still has the courage the Sabatini are known for. That's the opening Clavius needed. He pretends to take offense and snaps back that he could, if he wished, face both gladiators at once. Glaucus laughs and dares him to prove it, offering any wager Clavius cares to name. When Clavius refuses to name a prize, one of his friends proposes the real stakes, the Greek slave. After some thought, Glaucus agrees. The wager is set. If Clavius loses, he forfeits his life and his patrimony. If he wins, the woman is freed. The fight becomes a public spectacle. On the day of the combat, the arena is packed. The two gladiators tower over Clavius and expect an easy victory. When the fight begins, Clavius attacks with sudden speed and precision. One gladiator falls almost immediately. The second fights desperately, but Clavius cuts him down as well. The wager is honored. Caius wins the freedom of the woman he loves, and Clavius has used his strength to stand by his friend. Now the second story takes place in 16th century Paris. During the reign of Catherine de' Medici, a young Sabatino ancestor is living at court as a gentleman-in-waiting, known for his talent as a lute player and singer. One night, after performing for a noble household, he stops at a rough tavern for some wine. While he's there, two masked women enter, clearly terrified and out of place. They seat themselves near him, seeking protection. Moments later, a group of drunken gallants burst in, led by Sieur de Cléry, the most feared swordsman in Paris, a notorious bully protected by powerful patrons. De Cléry recognizes the women as the ones who escaped him earlier. The room falls silent, and no one intervenes when he tears the mask from the younger woman and prepares to attack her. The lute player finally acts. He leaps across the table, throws De Cléry back, ushers the woman towards safety, and draws his sword. De Cléry laughs, confident of an easy kill. The duel exposes the differences between them. De Cléry fights an aggressive old French style, while the lute player uses the newer Italian method, calm, still, and precise. De Cléry's attack fails. Step by step, the lute player forces him back against the wall. And when the moment comes, he explains that he is about to demonstrate a thrust he learned in Padua, one that can never be used twice. He then kills De Cléry instantly by slicing his jugular. He escorts the women home afterwards, and in time he marries the younger woman. Okay, yeah, sure, the stories are likely exaggerated, or let's be honest, entirely made up. But whether they're true or not doesn't really matter. The point is what those stories do to a kid's brain when he's growing up hearing them. Which brings us to Clevio's own story. Growing up in Buffalo, Clevio describes himself as being in love with his violin. Even though he's naturally strong, he's always avoiding fights. The toughest kid in school, Jimmy Sullivan, takes that personally. Jimmy isn't a bully in the cartoonish sense, he's actually well-liked, but he has a reputation to protect, and Clevio is the one boy he hasn't beaten yet. Clevio avoids the fight for months, partly because he genuinely likes Jimmy, but also because he's afraid of himself. Whenever he exerts himself too hard, he has fainting spells, and rumors start going around that there's something wrong with his heart. His father is annoyed by all of this and finally confronts him one day, basically accusing him of shaming the Sabatino name by walking away from fights. This conversation hits Clevio hard. He's so ashamed that with the weight of his ancestors on his shoulders, he quietly comes up with a plan to learn how to fight. He finds a gym where he's introduced to boxing and wrestling. Over the next several months, with good training and nutrition, his fainting spells disappear. A doctor examines him and confirms that his heart is perfectly fine. And slowly, without anyone really noticing, Clevio stops being the big awkward kid and becomes much more confident in himself. When Jimmy finally corners him in school, Clevio manages to beat the crap out of him in front of a large crowd. Instead of resenting him, Jimmy concedes defeat and only wants to know how he did it. Clevio explains the gym, the training, the discipline. They never fight again and even become good friends. Clevio continues building his strength and improving his wrestling skills to the point where at the age of 18 he starts challenging wrestlers in vaudeville shows to make some money. Funnily enough, all along, his ambition actually wasn't to become a great wrestler, strongman, or even musician. In fact, all he wanted in life at that point was to make enough money to somehow buy a Stradivarius violin. That obsession leads him into one of the most epic moments of his life. After one of his wrestling gigs, Clevio hears about a local millionaire named Hartley Darwin, because it turns out Darwin owns a Strad. But Darwin is also deeply unpopular with the locals. A brutal workers' strike is tearing through the mills. And as a major investor, Darwin has become the face of everything the workers are angry about. He also lives on a massive estate on top of a hill, which only makes the resentment worse. So Clevio decides to take a walk out into the countryside just to see the kind of place a Strad owner lives. On the way, he hears a woman scream. He finds two men attacking a girl named Nellie. He fights them off, and she tells him that they just sabotaged a private bridge Darwin and his daughter are about to cross in their car. There's no time to warn them. The bridge comes right after a blind bend, and they can already hear the car in the distance. So Clevio climbs under the broken span, braces it on his shoulders, and with all his might, lifts it just high enough to push the loose piece back into place as the car roars over him. It works. Darwin and his daughter are saved. Darwin asks how he can possibly repay him. Clevio doesn't ask for money. He asks to play a Strad just once. Darwin brings him into a room filled with priceless violins, Strads, Amatis, masterpieces. Clevio plays them all, and in a bit of a twist, the instrument he falls in love with most isn't the famous Strad after all. It's one of Darwin's cheapest violins, the one he barely cares about. But to Clevio, it sounds more beautiful than any of the rest. Darwin offers to give it to him on the spot, but Clevio refuses to take it for free. Darwin tells him to take it anyway and pay whenever he can. Eventually, Clevio started working on his own vaudeville show, with a novel mix of strength feats, hand balancing, and violin playing, quickly turning him into a headliner. Here are a couple of the signature stunts he would perform on stage. Now, sadly, there aren't any pictures available, because these really must have been an amazing sight. He would do a head-to-head stand, which means his partner would be doing a headstand on top of Clevio's head, an impressive enough feat on its own. Now just imagine Clevio calmly playing the violin the entire time. That really must have been something special. Clevio would also have his partner balancing like a ballerina on his toes on Clevio's chin. For one of his strength feats, Clevio would lie face down on the floor while an assistant did a handstand on his feet. Then Clevio would slowly do a full hamstring curl with the assistant until his lower legs were vertical, then slowly lower them back down again. It must have been really cool to watch him perform. Just imagine going into a show expecting to see a brutish strongman only to find this super jacked guy gracefully playing a violin. As the vaudeville scene died down, Clevio pivoted to professional wrestling and started touring North and South America, grappling with top wrestlers of the era. In 1935, he released a book called Modern Hercules, which doesn't seem to have been digitized, and I couldn't find it for sale anywhere. So if any of you happen to have this book, make sure to drop a comment and let us know if there's anything interesting in it. I would love to hear about it. Now, to wrap up the story, Clevio quietly retired in his hometown of Buffalo, where he died at the age of 84. I guess we could say his legacy is that of a musical strongman, perhaps even the strongest violinist in human history, proving that artistry and grace can complement strength and muscles.